Welcome to the DFS pregame show here on RotoGrinders. I'm Jordan Cooper, aka Blenderhead, your buddy blenderhd. You can follow me there on Twitter. And this is the show where we go over a little bit about yesterday's there was multiple slates yesterday. And then we talk a little bit about today's slate, I guess. I mean, it's a 5-game slate later today, right? So there shouldn't be that much to talk about. And I answer your questions in the YouTube chat. If you have any DFS strategy questions, you want to talk about the tools here at RotoGrinders, feel free to type them in. You know, I like the YouTube people like Frederick Dute and Dave Spag and Card Fan and First Round Exit and Dupocalypse and Red Psych Sports and Edward Brown and Daniel Hutchings, Brian Seymour, Max Coach One. You know what to do when you're here first. I got my apple juice, as usual, in the mornings in order to keep it cold throughout the show. You got to hit those thumbs up buttons, right? You got to hit the thummy thumbs, right? Give me the thummy thumbs. If you're new here, hit the subscribe scribes and hit the notification bells to let you know when we go live on this channel. We got NBA Grinders live later today, MLB Grinders live. There'll be other people. I don't know who's going to be on the shows. I never look at the schedule. It'll be probably Dean and someone. It'll probably be Stevie and someone. It'll be Chop and there. There'll be maybe Will. There'll be, I don't know. I'm look on the thumbnail. Typically they put our faces on the thumbnail, so you'll know who's on Grinders live later today. We got Eli producing the show as usual. So give him some clappy claps, right? Give him some clappy claps. He's the world's fastest clapper. Right? People don't know that. Look that up. He claps. He does this like whatever he does. Right? A lot of claps. So if you want to check that out, go to his channel. So yesterday, Luis Arias cost me $1,000. I'm gonna have to send him a check or some type of invoice. Luis Arias at the end of the game. You see that yesterday? I'm talking about the early slate yesterday. The early slate was a little bit more interesting than the late slate. Late slate, we had one game canceled. It ended up being a 6-game slate anyway. The early slate, we had Coors. We had the Angels against who? Against Folty and Max Scherzer on that slate. And the game to play was Oakland, Minnesota, which if you watched Grinders live yesterday, because the show wasn't on yesterday, we did Grinders live, and we thought that slate would be at 1 o'clock, but no, it actually was at 3 o'clock. So everything got kind of pushed down. So that's why I wasn't here. But I was on Grinders live with Dean, and I told him that, and I said that Freddie Montes, right? That was the high variance spot of the day. Either Montes is going to pitch well, the Twins are going to kill him, right? According to the back projections, that's what it looked like. So I played 5 lineups into the $66 slap hitter yesterday. Play the mid stakes. Hand-built. I just hand-built 5 lineups. Because it's a flat payout structure. I like the flatter payout structure type of tournaments. The main GPP is typically $50,000 the first. By the time we get to 10th place, here's a set of steak knives. I try not to play those contests. I don't mind playing them when the entry fee is lower. When it's $10, $8, $5, you know, that type of stuff. But most of the time on DraftKings, I'm looking the more mid stakes, but I played 5 lineups. I played 2 lineups with Montes, and I played 2 twin stacks lineups. I faded Coors. I had 0 Coors yesterday. What I said yesterday was, here's the chalk: Coors, Angels, Scherzer. You could play 2 of them, right? Fade 1 in the lineup, right? Either you're fading Angels, you're fading Coors, you're fading Scherzer. Now, with the pitching yesterday, it's less likely that you're fading Scherzer. And the Coors weather was kind of an issue. So you didn't know how many people were going to get off of Coors because it was cold. It was snowing by the end of the game, right? So I decided to just I'm going to build my lineups as if Coors doesn't exist. I think I'm going to get enough leverage just not having Bregman in the third base spot, Correa and Story in the shortstop spot. So I was looking at what teams had those positions. So it's okay, in San Diego, you have Machado and Tatis. They're going to be low owned. Okay, against Hauser. So give me some Padres. Then take a look at Josh Donaldson for the Twins. Okay, there's an option, right? Third base on there's really no third baseman on the Angels that is worth a crap. So it's like I'm trying to build lineups like that. And I did. So I built one of those lineups. I want to come in a little bit higher also, but I came in second. So you can see here, second place, Scherzer, Quintana. Because the chalk combination was Scherzer, Maeda. And then I just played basically a 5-2-1. 5-man Minnesota stack. Astudillo, Polanco, Donaldson, Cruz, Arias. And that obviously did really well. Then I played Tatis plus Grissom, 2-man, and Ben Boone, just the cheap catcher, right? Chalk cheap catcher, but whatever. But if you see here, I lost by 2 points, right? 2 points. It's the matter of 1 run. And if you see R. Walker SC, he had Elvis Andrus in his lineup. Luis Arias at the end of that game, remember in the bottom of the 10th inning, Minnesota was up by 2. It's 2 outs. It's a ground ball to Luis Arias, and he chucks it over the first base. Bang! What kind of throw is that? Of course, Elvis Andrus is on third base as a base runner, and he scores a run. So there's those 2 points, right? We would have been tied for first for $4,000, but no, lost $1,000, right? And then he also had the Byron Buxton home run. I would have won if it wasn't for that. 6,100. That's the one thing I didn't do in my Minnesota lineups, is I didn't play any Byron Buxton. I'll play a Mike Trout one-off before I play Byron Buxton at 6,100. Okay, Trout was 6,000. Buxton was 6,100. I get it in stacks. You see this game stack, this 4-4 game stack is the thing that got there. Because Matt Olson had 2 home runs. Cruz has 2 home runs, right? He kind of needed them. He needed at least one of them. But of course, I'm playing a 603 entry contest. So this is not like a large field contest. So like 186.55 wouldn't have won the large field stuff. But that was the thinking behind it, of based on looking at the projections. Montes projected well. This is what I look for. When the pitcher and the stack projects well, that just tells me that it's going to be a high variance situation. That means strikeouts or home runs. So I took advantage of that, especially with people going to Coors and people going to the Angels. And I did have Angel stacks. I mean, if we take a look at my 5 lineups here, I had Trout 60 in 3 out of 5 lineups, right? I had Ohtani in 2 out of 5, Fletcher in 2 out of 5, Schebler in 2 out of 5. So you see here, it's pretty much Twins, Angels, Padres, right? No Bregman, right? So we look at the field, right? No Bregman. 1 lineup with Walsh. Didn't play Dinelson Lamet, who only pitched 29 pitches. Got injured. 22% owned for a guy. He was like 9,500, and I don't know what this pitch count was going to be. So that burned a bunch of lineups. Like Correa was 22% owned. Turner was 21% owned. Chas McCormick with a 0 leading off. Hey, good projected play. But he got a 0, right? So I tried to avoid Coors. I know it may be scary to do that, but I'm looking to win first place. What was my easiest path to first place? Fading Coors, fading Angels, fading Scherzer. At least 1, if not 2 of those 3. And then hopefully it worked out. And it did. There you go. I think my next best lineup actually had Maeda in it. Like, where is my next best lineup? So I think I had a lineup that if I just would have replaced Maeda with Quintana, I would have just won the whole thing. Where is this? Let's take a look. Go to entries. Okay, let's find me. I don't play on Draftkings anymore that much because of the payout curves and the entry fees, but it's in results DB here, 17th place. Yeah, I guess so. If I were to place Quintana, I would have won this contest, right? Because look, Maeda. Yeah, I would have won this contest, right? Because instead of Maeda, you play Quintana in this spot and you make up like 30 points. So that would have been like 191. And look at this lineup. It's an angel stack, right? So you got Schebler, Upton, Trout, Iglesias at shortstop to try to avoid Correa and Story. Ohtani was chalky. I mean, Trout and Ohtani were chalky. Then play Josh Donaldson to avoid Bregman, right? So you play 2 Minnesota guys, Polanco and Donaldson. And what do I have left at catcher? Oh, Narvaez, and he hit a home run. So there you go. But I played the chalkier pitcher combination. I played Maeda, obviously because I had the money. But I could have changed Maeda down to Quintana and then Schebler up to Pham or Profar or something like that. Could have. Or Narvaez down to Ben Boom and then Schebler up to someone, something. Who knows? But still, this twin stack on a 5-game slate was all under 10% owned. And it's not like Montes was that owned. So it's like Montes wasn't owned much. We could take a look here. What was the ownership on Montes? Because Lamet was more owned than him, right? Oh, 33%. Okay, I guess he was somewhat owned in this contest. Yeah, Montes with 33%. Okay, so you get the leverage, right? Scherzer, Maeda, Montes, Lamet, Quintana. Yeah, okay. So I get it. So that lowers the Twins' ownership. So that's strategically. I hand built these. This wasn't I just plugged it in and pressed a button. Now it could have easily went the other way. Coors goes off and then who cares, right? But I'm also playing a 603 entry contest. So, like, do I have to get crazy? Was that crazy? I have no idea. We go back. Let's see what the large field. We have the $16 slugfest. So Giant scored. You needed a 238. Yeah, my score wouldn't have gotten anywhere close. It's 11,000 entry contest. Giant squid. I mean, you still needed pretty much that game. Scherzer, Quintana, Arias, Cruz, Buxton, Donaldson, Polanco. You basically need Olsen in that type of lineup. Paid down for Elvis Andrus. So it still turned into a 5-man Minnesota stack with 2 Oakland players because you needed Olsen. I didn't have Olsen. But I mean, he won by like 14 points, like Royal Pain 21. Basically had Rooker and Murphy in instead of the other 2 guys. They're also playing 150 lineups, so I have a lot of combinations. Lariota over here, similar type of thing with Tatis, Olsen, Cruz, right? But no Donaldson, and that's it. There you go. No Donaldson. Donaldson got 29 points. This is 11,000 person contest, 11,000 entry contest. But look at this payout structure. This is the reason why I didn't play it. 50,000 to first, then 10,000 to second. It's $500 to 9th place. I mean, come on, really? 9th place is 1% of first place. I want it to be 10% of first place. So we take a look at the payout structure for the slap hitter, the $66 contest. Look at this. It's flatter. There you go. 9th place, 10th place is 10% of first place, not 1%. So instead of this being 10,000 to first, it's 5,000 to first. What's wrong with that? That's good money. That's good money, people. So this is the reason why I tend to play contests that have this type of price structure. Even if this is 50,000, then it's 50,000, 30,000, 20,000, 15,000, 10,000. But none of this like 100,000 the first, 10th place, $70. I mean, that just basically turns it into a winner take all when it comes to equity. I'd rather at least have I could play 5 lineups into this, and if I come in, 5 lineups is $330. So like, where does $330 fall here? It's like, okay, 13th place, or like I don't have to win to like make my money back at least. But in other contests, if this was like, $70 to 10th place, I'd be like, why am I playing this? Like, either I come in the top couple of spots, or you're just going to bleed all your money away. That's the main reason. And they had it on DraftKings. I'll be doing it today also. So I think that's the plan going forward. So I've been playing on FanDuel because the payout structures on FanDuel are horrible also. Okay? They're horrible. But at least they're horrible, and it's a $4 entry fee, and it's a $5 entry fee for the large field contest, not 16, 18 bucks like on DraftKings. So I think going forward, I'll play like 100 lineups on FanDuel, and then I'll hand build and play these types of contests. I'll play 5 lineups on DraftKings instead of like just nothing on DraftKings other than cash games. So I think that's what I'll do. It's kind of weird for me to go on the pregame show and then not have results DB for like my own play because I'm on FanDuel. Right? It seems kind of weird. So I thought this was a good opportunity. Obviously, it shows me winning $3,000 here, so that's good. I'm trying to expand. I'm trying to be able to do multiple things at one time. That to me, that's my biggest weakness. Like, oh, and you can play NBA at the same time. It's like I can't do it all. And you can play 100 lineups on Yahoo. It's like I can't juggle that much. I'm trying to get better at juggling. So I need to. That's why I condensed down my cash process to basically just pressing a button. So okay, that's taken care of. Now I can do FanDuel. I can do 100 lineups there. Okay, got my process down there. Now I could hand build a couple of lineups on DraftKings, and maybe I'll and then you start building yourself up. So I should be playing more. I play enough as it is. But I want to take advantage of the fact that I'm skillful. So I want to play 100 lineups on DraftKings, 150 lineups on FanDuel. I want to do all of that, but I want to do it as wisely as possible, as plus EV as possible. I don't want to like half-ass and just like, oh, I have just whatever's here go. Just download the CSV, upload, and whatever it shows, whatever it is, right? I did that a little yesterday on FanDuel. It actually worked out, but. Right, I had a Tampa Bay stack. I had a Tampa Bay Chicago stack yesterday. Did I want that? I don't know. I kind of ran with whatever went. Whatever I went on. I went on my lineup HQ, and it got to the point where like I was running out of time, and I'm just like, as long as all my lineups are low owned, just give me whatever's whatever. I set some things, but then it got to the point where it's like I have no time to tweak anything. So as long as all my lineups are low owned, just give me, I think I had 90 of them. Give me 90 of them. It just so happened I had Cubs. I didn't intend to even have Cubs yesterday, but apparently I had Cubs, and I had some Cubs stacks with some Tampa stacks. And that worked out, right? I mean, I didn't make any money. I mean, I had a lineup that was in the top 30 or something yesterday on FanDuel. Sometimes you do that. But I don't want to be in that position where I'm doing so much that I need to, like, oh, just run whatever the projections say and give me low on lineups and then have to go on this side. Oh, got to get this in, right? We don't have a line. Oh, the Cincinnati lineup. Oh, they're finishing up. They're finishing up the game before. So it's like, where are we going to get a Cincinnati lineup? And the game locks at 6:40, and we don't even have a lineup. So it's not like we're not getting a late lineup. So it's like, is who's catching? Like what? Can I play the Reds if I'm not even sure what the lineups are going to be? Because it's going to lock and I can't even swap. Like that type of stuff. Like I want to be able to deal with that and not have a chicken without their head and do that half-assed. So that's the reason. I don't know. I'm justifying it. Looking through the YouTube chat. Mike Blaze asked, what was it about Montes that made you think he was the top variance play on the day? Because I looked at the projections, and Montes, from a median perspective, was like the second point per dollar pitcher with the back projections. So Montes was the second highest point per dollar pitcher. Quintana was the number one in the bat. But the twin stack had the highest point per dollar ceiling. So like you look at their prices versus their 75th percentile result, they were the highest on the entire slate. Higher than Coors, higher than the Angels, higher than everyone. So it's like when a pitch. So how could the projection say median-wise? Because remember, we're talking about median. That the pitcher projects well and the batters project well. Well, only one thing could happen, right? I mean, you can't. Oh, I'm going to play both of them. No, they're negatively correlated to one another. So that all that tells me is that The Twins ceiling is high. The Montes' ceiling is high, but the range of outcomes is wide, obviously. The only way that that could occur is if the range of outcomes is wide. Typically, in a projection set, if you see a pitcher that's highly projects extremely well, the batters don't project that well. On the other side, the opponents, right? You look and go, okay, point per dollar wise, they don't. And vice versa. You see a team, the batting, the stack that projects the best. Typically, you go to the pitching projections, and the pitcher that they're facing has a really bad projection, right? Like, that makes sense. If they both have a bad projection, that means the whole game sucks, right? The ceiling on both sides aren't good. But when you see both sides of a game, and I'm not talking about both sides batter-wise, I'm talking both sides, the pitcher and the batters that they're facing, both project well, the only way that could happen meaning-wise is if the range of outcomes is wide. It doesn't make any sense for them to one can't also project well at the same time as the other, right? Or it's some type of price thing. You'll see that occasionally when like the pitcher's 4,000 or some of the batters in the lineup are like you have three guys that are 2,500, and it's like, okay, now I can see why the median projects well, because some of the batters are still way too cheap. That wasn't the case with the Twins yesterday. But I'm not looking at baseball stats. Like I looking at that was not a baseball stat type of thing. Like it's looking at, I could even show you. Let me go to, the bat even has a page for it. Okay, let's see if I could find it. Where are the stack projections? Okay, the Bat X stack projection. So they go along with it's the same projections that I load in here. So if I look at the stack projections for today, as of now, this is with projected lineups in. Like it looks like the Mets. Like I sort by ceiling. So ceiling point per dollar. We still have Diamondbacks. Well, that's from the early game. So you have Cubs, Angels, Marlins, Mariners, Mets. Now, obviously, the Mets have the highest ceiling. And it also shows based on 5-man stacks or 4-man stacks. Like based on their point per dollar total, top 25, top 50, top 100, top 250, like when they appear. So this obviously shows that the Mets are the top stat. Mets, then Angels, then Cubs, then Marlins or Astros even. Like, what are the best stacks? So you don't have to like go, I don't have to go and like go by, like, here are the Angels. Let me take a look at, like, let me add these all up. Like, it does it for you. So I'm able to see that. And it also shows, who they're pitching, right, who they're up against. So I could look at this. And then I can look at the pitching. So I'm going to look at the DraftKings pitching, sort by point per dollar. So Aaron Sanchez, okay? Aaron Sanchez rates out to be the top point per dollar pitcher on today's slate, according to the bat, as of right now. But the Marlins are up there. They're not all the way up there, but they're up there. They show up in the top 50 stacks, according to bat projections, because they're pretty cheap. So here we have a situation where Sanchez projects well and the Marlins project well. That means it's a little bit wider range of outcomes. We have Pivetta and the Mariners, Lucchesi and the Cubs. These all seem like fairly sealed. The Cubs are up here. The Mariners are kind of up there, right? So these are higher variance situations. Like Trevor Williams against the Mets. I mean, where's Trevor Williams? He doesn't project that well. Should he? The Mets project extremely well. Trevor Williams doesn't. So this isn't as high variance of a situation. You're sure Trevor Williams could do well, right? Could. How does Javier project against the Angels who project well? Not really that well, right? You got Walker Buehler here pretty much, but you have Sanchez, Pivetta, and Lucchesi. But the batters also project well. So, like, feel like, oh, I'm going to play Buehler Sanchez and think that, oh, nothing could go wrong. Like, no, the Marlins could hit him out. I mean, these are not the most reliable pitchers. Sanchez, Pivetta, and Lucchesi, they're not. So if one's going to be, like, insanely owned, If Sanchez is going to be 50% owned on this slate, play some Marlins stacks. There you go. According to the bad projections, the Marlins don't project. They project pretty well. If Alex Cobb here, like the Astros project well, but Alex Cobb is garbage, right? So this isn't a high variance situation. More likely than not, the Astros kill him. And Alex Cobb doesn't score that well. There's less outcomes that have Cobb scoring 20 points. But with Sanchez and the Marlins, there are as many outcomes as Sanchez scoring 20 plus points as there are the Marlins putting up 8 plus runs. So there's a lot more outcomes that are here in the high end and the low end, opposite one another, obviously, and less in the middle. So we treat these as normal distributions, but they're really not. That's what that says. That's it. No baseball stats or what. It's already taken care of. Everything's done for you in the projections. It's already weighing all the baseball stuff in the numbers, in these numbers. So what did I see in Montes? I did the same thing I saw here with Sanchez and the Marlins. I said, I'm on the Morning Grind podcast, right? We recorded last night with Stevie. You could download that. I said the same thing. I said Sanchez, or same thing with Pivetta, Sanchez and Pivetta. I said the same thing. It's like, the more owned Sanchez is, the more Miami Marlins stacks I'll have. The more Pivetta's owned, the more Seattle stacks I'll have. I still play both of them in the other lineups, right? That's what you do. It's a high variance spot. So if you're going to play Seattle stack, if you're going to play Buehler plus Sanchez, then you stack against Pivetta. If you're going to play Buehler plus Pivetta, then you stack against Sanchez. If you're going to play Lucchesi, if you're not going to play, maybe you play a Cub stack in that lineup. So whichever you stack the team that you don't have the other pitcher in. That's most likely I'm going to do, especially on DraftKings where you need an SP2. FanDuel, maybe not so much. Well, then who are you going to play as SP2? That's where Daniel Castano comes in. And you watch the Morning Grind. If you listen to the Morning Grind, you hear my jokes about Daniel Castano. Don't expect much out of him. Like, yeah, 8.93 points. I'll take that. Let's take a look in the YouTube chat some more. Yeah, I explained all of this. People are asking, like, how do you see what the variance is? I mean, you could just look at the floor and the ceiling, right? You could just see the range difference. But the two sides of the game are negatively correlated to one another. The pitcher and the batters against them. The batters and the pitcher against them. So the wider the range is on both sides, then obviously it's higher variance. And typically in GPPs, we're looking to increase the variance of our lineups. If I could see that there's a high variance spot, that doesn't mean, well, do you play the pitcher or do you play the batter? Either. Play either side. I'm just looking for those types of opportunities. How could I increase the variance of my lineup? Based on the projections that are given to you. Let's see. Uncrabby Cabby asks, hey, Jordan, when I run, for example, 150 lineups after setting all my stack and player exposures, I seem to get a lot of low projected, low owned lineups. What is the best way to correct this? Who says you should correct that? Don't worry about the median projection of baseball lineups. What's low projected? It depends on what you mean by low projected. Remember, 14 points is one swing of the bat. Or a solo home run is 14 points on DraftKings. FanDuel, you get an extra point or so for a run, extra point for a RBI, extra point for a walk even. Stacks are a little bit more valuable on FanDuel. So 14, about one swing of the bat could be 16 points on FanDuel. So 2 swings of a bat, 30 plus points. So if your lineups project 30 points lower, who cares? You can make that up in 2 swings of a bat by a low-owned player or 2 low-owned players. So don't worry about the median projection so much. So what's low? That's what I mean by low. If you're up by 80 points, yeah, that's low. I don't know what you're setting in order to get lineups that are that lowly projected. But it's not basketball. Basketball, 4 points and projection may mean a lot. In baseball, there's so much variance that, 20 points below the optimal is what? Right? Trout is 47% owned and puts up a 0. Yeah, you made it up. Right? He didn't put up 14 points, and half the lineups have him. Well, you made it up. You made up those 14 points, right? You did it. You did it. Way to go. So don't worry so much about the median projection. You want the lower owned lineup, sure. So I don't think you're having a problem. I think you're building good line. You're more likely building good lineups than you're building bad lineups. I think that the answer may be you may be actually playing well. That may be the answer. How do I correct playing well? Playing plus EV lineups, right? Never gotten that answer before. I mean, maybe. I don't know. I don't see what you're doing. Let's see. The Jerry Man says I was on the wrong side of the Montes variance. Yes. Well, I played both. I played lineups with Montes and played lineups without him. Okay. Choose whichever one you wanted. If you wanted to say, if you're only playing one lineup or something, I'm going to go to the Montes side and then play this. Okay, then you lost. Okay, move on to the next day. You're going to lose most days at MLB. You're going to lose most days in DFS. All you can hope to do is play well, play plus EV lineups, and wait to realize that EV. Gavin Nokomovich says, love you, Jordan. Learned a lot with just 2 videos. Oh, good. Then you'll learn a lot with a lot more videos. I tend to repeat myself a lot. I tend to get the same questions over and over again. So if you're new here, everything seems like new. This is the thing. I probably answered everything that I've said probably a month ago, a week ago, yesterday, 2 days ago. I'm just reinforcing concepts and trying to help you guys out. Nate Branshaw says, tonight on DK, would you be more likely to play 4-man stacks rather than 5-mans because of the lower probability that one team puts up enough of a ceiling to pay off a 5-man stack? Yes, it's a smaller slate. So 5-man having one of the teams have a 5-man stack to pay off, the probability goes down. It doesn't mean you don't play 5-man stacks. It just means it's less like the highest scoring team on the slate could be six runs, and 5-man may not pay off, right? No, there may not be a single 5-man that pays off for a large field, at least. Now, if you're playing smaller field contests and you just want to just 5-3 it and just say I picked 2 teams and whatever, you can do that because obviously you don't need the highest possible score in those smaller field contests. So those are the variables you got to weigh, right? I'm kind of saying 2 different things. Yes, it's a 5-game slate, so it's less likely we find a 5-man stack that pays off. True. That's for large field contests. But if you're playing smaller field contests, do you need a 5-man stack to pay off at the nuts? No. Playing a 600 entry contest? Look at what I won yesterday. My lineup would have came in like 87th place in the main GPP. But I played a 5-man twin stack, and there you go. Done. Right? Second place. Could have been first if it wasn't for Luis Arias just throwing the ball away for no reason. How does he throw? How do you miss first base by that much? I don't know. Yeah, but Gavin, you got it right. What's my easiest path to the win is a question I will think about when building lineups. Right. Your goal is not to score the most points. It's to score more points than your opponents. It sounds like the same thing, but it isn't. If you're trying to put up the most points, you're just going to play the best plays. You're just going to, who projects the best? Points that you have that your opponents don't are worth more to you. So having Josh Donaldson 29 points at third base at 8% owned is worth a lot more than 29 points that Trout put up at 37% ownership. So you're looking for those. Where can I find points that other people don't have? Of course, the likelihood of you getting those points goes down because they were such a great play, more people would own them, right? So you have to find that balance. Still, what's the easiest path to win first place? What's the best path? You could find 20 paths. If it's a large slate, there's 14 games, you could find 50 paths to first. Do you want to play all 50? Could. If you want to play 100 lineups, you could play all of them. That's what I try to do. What are the paths to win first place? How many of them can I jam into this contest? Then sometimes you have a 5-game slate. It's like, what's the easiest path to first place? To me, yesterday I thought playing the Twins, fading Coors, and the Angels in that lineup. And look, hey, it worked. There you go. What more did I have to do? Nothing. Frederick Duke has a good point. Even utilizing my advice, winning any large GPP is extremely unlikely. Right. If you're playing those large ones, like the quarter arcades, the 10-cent and the 10-cent ones, like ones that have 5-figure, 10,000 plus, 50,000 plus, you're playing like this to win them once or twice a year. A year. Not often, a year. Bink once a year. But yeah, use the quarter arcades and the dime times or whatever. Do it. Good way to get experience. Even if you're hand building. Right? Build 4 lineups in the quarter arcade. It's $1. There you go. But build large field build lineups that you don't mind. It's a quarter, and if you have to get into that mindset of like, oh, I can't play this nutso lineup, then play in the quarter arcade. It's a quarter. What's the worst thing that happens? You lose a quarter. You could drop a quarter on the ground if anyone carried cash anymore. So do it there. So at least it gets you past that hurdle of, oh my God, this lineup is just, you're telling me I should fade this guy and then play this stack and then stack against that guy? That's nuts. Play it in the quarter arcade. But that's how you should be playing. It's not about winning the most often. It's about how much do you win when you do win. How much money do you make? I'll take one $50,000 win and 99 complete busts. I make more money than trying to win $50 every day. Yeah, you'll win more often. Yeah, but I'll win more money by binking once and losing 99 other times. If you try to min cash for 100 slates, you could actually get to bleed money away because the rake is too high. You'd be like, oh, I win half the time. I cash my lineups half the time. Then after 100 slates, you see you're down $80. And you're like, how is that possible? Yeah, because there's 15% rake. So cashing half the time ain't doing anything for you. You're losing money. Aim to win. All the money is in the top spots. Aim to win. What is the easiest path? What is the path that gives me the most first place equity? It also gives you a lot of last place equity. You have to live with that. This lineup could come in first place. It could also come in dead damn last. Those are the lineups that you should be playing. Let's see. Edward Brown doing anything with the early MLB slate today? No. 2-game slates. 2-game slates play more like showdowns. Just like if you're playing large field, just play a lineup that won't be duplicated. Like the type of stuff that you would do in like showdown or MMA, small field, PGA, that type of stuff. But no, I'm not doing anything for the 2-game slate. Justin Sports. This is a pretty good question. Do you often find difficulties in differentiating your thought process in playing a high dollar small field versus 150 maxing on the same slate? Sometimes. Usually when I play the small field stuff on the same, when I'm doing the same thing, I'm not just playing, you know me, I like playing unique lineups. So I'm not just making 100. I rarely ever 150. Okay. You'll rarely ever see, unless there's overlay or it's really cheap. I'm typically playing 60 lineups, 80 lineups, 100 lineups, somewhere between 50 and 100 or something. Typically, whatever like I said, what's the best route for first place? Now, when I'm playing 100 lineups, a lot of times I'm finding 8 routes to first place, right? I'm finding eight different ways. and playing 100 lineups with all the 8 ways, right? Or whatever ways. But now for a small, but now I single line. Well, I could only make one lineup. How do I do it? Well, whichever the best way, whichever I deem is like the highest leverage play. Not the highest leverage play, but just like yesterday was if I would have built 150 lineups yesterday for that early slate, I would have built a ton of twin stacks, a ton of Padre stacks. I mean, in proportion. And it's like, oh, I got this single entry lineup to put in. It's like, what's my best idea? Scherzer, Quintana, and the Twins. Like I would have done that. It would have been kind of like the best lineup of that bunch, but maybe not the same exact lineup, but something like that. You just have to condense the choices. Like, okay, now I've narrowed all of this down. When you're building 150, you're like, I narrowed this all down to 8, right? Then when you're playing like 3 max, it's like, I got to narrow this 8 down to 3 or 2. And when you're playing single entry, it's like, I got to narrow it down to 1. And sometimes they're really close. And sometimes it's just like, screw it. And then if you're doing like 3 max, maybe you decide I'm going to do, maybe I do the Twins in all 3 and then differentiate everything else. Or maybe I say I'll do Twins in 1, Angels in 1, Padres in 1. You could do that also. Try to diversify a little bit more, maybe. Joe Wheeler, when faced with a dumpster fire of pitchers on a small slate, do you fade the chalk pitcher and go with someone else? Is this a strategy to win first? Year? It's one of the strategies. Anytime you fade chalk, it's a strategy to win first. Doesn't matter what the slate is or anything like that. On tonight's slate, Walker Buehler most likely will be the chalk SP1 on DraftKings. But if you see here, it's not like he projects that well. He's the best projected raw points pitcher, but he's 10K. You could fade him and stack against him with the Padres. That's a path to first place. Oh, that seems scary, but it's a path. Stacking against a chalk pitcher, no matter who they are, is a path. Is it the smartest path? Who knows? But it's a path. There's a stack that's going to be 40% owned. Not playing them, there's a path. And they busts all those lineups, and you have something else. All of those things are a path. Matt Noah says, love the mini Mats in the quarter arcade. Vomit stacks, lineups I would never show my friends. Good times. Why are your friends that stupid? Your friends should know better. Your friends should know it's all about first place equity. It's all about first place equity. But yeah, on DraftKings today, on today's slate, I'm expecting, Buehler's the most raw points. Like, I'm going to run this now. Let me go to build rules. Let me get this reset to everything. Let's run it at 2 unique players, 100 lineups. Got everything here, everything whatever. This is DraftKings, right? Okay. Let's set it down to 49. Let's see what happens. Can I do this? Okay. Based on the bat projections, let's see what comes out. I still think it's going to give me enough Walker Buehler just to have raw points. But I think we're going to see a lot more Pivetta Sanchez lineups. Yeah, Pivetta. Oh, yeah, hell of a lot of Pivetta Sanchez lineups. Yeah, barely any Buehler. Even with the slightly more raw point. Yeah, because you have to pay like $2,000 for them. So if I look at okay, I didn't do stacks. I'm sorry. I should have done that. Getting a lot of Mets, Cubs, Mets, Astros, Angels. Yeah, but I didn't set the stacks. So let's set the stacks. It's DraftKings. Let's do 5-3, 5x, 4-4, 4-3. That's pretty much what you should be doing. 4-2, maybe. I don't know. 100, 100, 100, 100. Maybe 3-3. It's a 5-game slate. Maybe 3-3. It's 3-3. We'll see. We'll see what happens. That's going to put in too many of those. Okay. So let's set some normal kind of 5-3, 5x, 5x. We just put it 100%. It's just going to fill up whatever. So let's see what shows up. This is research to me. This is not, I don't look at the baseball stats. I'm going to dig into their pitch mix and what I don't do any of that. Projection does the projection model does everything for me. It's all the numbers. How do the numbers work together with each other? Okay, so we got tons of Met stacks. Yeah, okay. So basically, it's Met stacks. We can take a look at the stack summary. It's basically Mets. Three-man stacks is Astros, Cubs. So basically, seeing a lot of Mets, Astros, Mets, Cubs, with Sanchez and Pivetta mostly, but we still get plenty of Bueller because we're not playing the one-offs of like Trout and like that type of stuff. There's still plenty of Trout there. But yeah, so based on this, you can take a look at the combo summary. Like here's some 5-3 combinations: Mets, Astros, Mets, Cubs, Mets, Marlins, Mets, Dodgers, Mets, Red Sox. It's Mets. So it's probably going to be a lot of lineups that look like this. We don't have ownership yet, so I can't compare to how owned they're going to be. But I'm assuming the Mets are going to be owned based on this, right? To me, this is research. This is what I do for research. Like you could walk up to a slate a half an hour before and just do this. I'll run 100 lineups and set defaults or whatever. Run 300 lineups and just see what shows up. The bat projections are slightly different than a lot around the industry, so they may be slightly different. Most projections models are not going to be that far off, where it's like, oh, the Mets are coming up in a million lineups here, and then they're going to be 2% owned because the bat's the only projection model that has the Mets. Like, no, probably go to the Plate IQ projection. Let's do that. Okay, so I'm getting a ton of Mets here. Let's go to the Plate IQ projections, which is our normal RG projections. I can switch right there. Okay. Okay, so we're on the Plate IQ projections. I'm going to do the same exact thing. Right? I got everything the way that it was before. So in the bat projections, let me delete this. Bat projections had a ton of Pivetta, Bueller, Sanchez, Mets for the bat. Obviously, this is as of like 11:30 in the morning. But nope, with all projected lineups, we don't have the umpires. The weather data may not even barely be in. We don't know. I'm assuming we're going to still see something that's similar to this. Right? If I go to the player pool and sort by point per dollar even. Houston. Got Conforto on the Mets. May not get as much Mets. I still get it. Yeah, Nimmo was in the lineup here. Got some Angels. Probably get a little bit more Angels. Probably still get Houston. I don't know about the Cubs, though. Just to show you the difference in projections may not be that dramatic. Matt Noah says, I won a single entry last week. My first ever first place. Congratulations. Used a lot of the principles I've learned here. Was clear like 10 points. Just had to fade a home run from someone's last at bat. Well, way to go. Okay, we can take a look at this now. Yeah, look at this. Plate IQ projections. A lot more Bueller, Pivetta. So like pitching wise, a little bit less Aaron Sanchez here. But we're still getting look how many Mets, Astros. Getting more Marlins. Getting more Red Sox a bit. Not getting the Angels as much as a stack. Take a look at the stack summary. Look, Mets, Astros. I compare that to build one. Stack summary. Mets, Cubs, Astros. The Mets just get a bunch more. Like the Mets project a little bit better in the bat projections than in the Plate IQ projections. But still, I mean, the Plate IQ projections have the Mets as the highest point per dollar stack team also, right? That and the Astros. So even between projection sets, it's not all that different. So if you're using the Plate IQ projections and you don't pay for Derek Carty's the bat, like you're not necessarily missing out on anything. You're still making the same, you're doing the same exact thing, regardless. You're playing the same exact way. So don't feel like, oh, if I die, oh, well, you used the bad, I need to use the bad. You don't need to. You need to understand what the numbers mean and know that everything you could possibly look at is in the numbers. Especially when it comes to the bat, because it includes everything. There's stuff in there. They have StatCast data in there. Derek Carty puts so much stuff in there. It's like going to an Italian restaurant and all the spices and everything and the marinara stuff. Everything's in there. So I don't have to worry about, oh, well, did you check out this? No, everything that should be relevant is in there. So I don't have to worry about it. I just look at the numbers and just play every day and just hope I realize my EV by the end of the season. Hopefully. Think once, maybe twice. Make a profit. There you go. You're done. Easy peasy. Easy peasy. So this is this type of stuff I talk about, right? Answer your questions. Show you made some money. Some people in chat made some money. I made some money yesterday. Hopefully we'll make some money tonight. Well, obviously if you're in my contest, I don't want you to win. I want me to win first. So if I have 5 lineups on DraftKings today, I want you to come in 6th place. I'll allow that. Not even second, right? But you'll come in 2nd place. I want all 5 of my lineups to come in 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Then you come in 6th. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Because tomorrow's Casual Friday, right? Do we got a big slate tomorrow for Friday? Or do we have the split crap? Let's see. I'm opening up on my phone. Like, what's tomorrow? Oh, no. Tomorrow we got a big slate. Tomorrow we got one big slate at 7 o'clock. Okay. So, yeah, we got something to look forward to at least. Something to look forward to. So, at your way out the door, thanks for keeping my apple juice cold. You kept it cold throughout the show. Hit those thumbs up buttons. Thummy thumbs. If you want to sign up for RotoGrinders Premium, which includes the Discord, which I'm always active in, right? To some extent in there. So click on the link in the description in the show notes. Get $10 off your first month of a RotoGrinders Premium subscription. We'll have Grinders Live later today on the YouTube channel. Grinders Live for NBA, Grinders Live for MLB. Got Crunch Time for premium members. And yeah. So let's see what happens. Let's see what happens on this 5-game slate. Let's see if any pitcher scores more than 20 points. That's my thing. I don't. Is Walker Buehler needed tonight? I don't think so. But we'll see. Check out the morning grind. If you want a breakdown of the actual slate, I was on the morning grind, so you could listen to me and Steven. But this obviously we record that before projections come out or anything like that. But it's pretty. Everything I said yesterday for the morning grind, I would agree with. Like after looking at projections now, like pretty much it's relevant. So download the morning grind, and other than that, I'll see you tomorrow. As I'm here Monday through Fridays, 11 o'clock Eastern time for the DFS pregame show here on RotoGrinders.com.